Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a multi-agency search in Jackson County comes up empty. The Houston connection to the missing person case. Victoria County breaks ground on a new facility. The $40 million project details. And President Trump freezes billions in funding to Democratic states. How the shutdown escalation continues.
We got lots of sunshine all the way through the weekend, but I'm seeing a cool front next week. We'll have all that coming up in just a few minutes.
And a top cabinet official contradicts the FBI on Jeffrey Epstein, what he says he witnessed. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry is on assignment. The search for a missing person in Jackson County is over. Early this morning, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, alongside the Texas Rangers and the Edna Police Department, continued conducting a search for 2 hours. The operation involved ground teams, canine units, and support from both local and state partners. Yesterday, authorities revealed they were searching in the area of Mexico Street and East Cedar in Edna, where they believe a missing person may have been buried. The search has now concluded, with officers reporting no findings. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office stated that they were assisting Houston police in following up on a lead. The groundbreaking for the Victoria County Mental and Behavioral Health Facility happened this morning. The groundbreaking was at 415 Aviation Drive. The county got a $40 million grant from the state for the facility, with plans to build a 40-bed mental health facility on a 10-acre plot near the Victoria Regional Airport. The county bought the property from the Texas Zoo for $50,000.
Today's groundbreaking is really a huge and long-awaited occurrence here in Victoria County. There's a shortage of mental health beds all across the state, and we're pleased and honored to be able to lead the charge here in Victoria County.
The county will own the facility, and the goal is to open the facility in a few years. A railroad crossing in Bloomington is closing for repairs. Starting tomorrow, the railroad crossing on Highway 185 South will be shut down each night from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. The work wraps up early Monday morning, October 6th. Crews will be out fixing up the crossing and adding concrete blocks to make it safer and longer lasting. If that's part of your route, plan ahead. Take it slow near that area and maybe find a detour for those nighttime hours. It is day 2 of the government shutdown as the blame game intensifies. Today, because of a Jewish holiday, neither the House or Senate is in session, so the earliest the shutdown could end is tomorrow. ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House with the latest.
With no signs of the government shutdown ending anytime soon, this morning Republicans placing blame squarely on Democrats.
Well, welcome everybody to day 2 of the Democrat shutdown.
President Trump meeting today with his budget director to determine which agencies he recommends be cut, either temporarily or permanently. The president also blaming Democrats on the conservative One America News Network.
Well, there could be firings, and that's their fault.
The Trump administration warns it could start that unprecedented step of firing federal workers as soon as today. ABC's Mary Bruce pressing the vice president yesterday.
Why does the president want to fire some workers and not just furlough them? Why is this shutdown any different?
Well, first of all, we haven't made any final decisions about what we're going to do with certain workers. What we're saying is that we might have to take extraordinary steps, especially the longer this goes on.
Democrats demanding Republicans reverse massive cuts to Medicaid and extend expiring Obamacare subsidies so health care premiums don't rise for millions of Americans next year.
Republicans say they'd rather shut down the government than make sure that Americans get their access to health care. I think they're wrong.
The White House is insisting the government needs to reopen before discussing health care policy. President Trump now turning up the pressure, targeting projects in Democratic-leaning states, freezing $18 billion in infrastructure funding for New York City, home of both Democratic leaders, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, and blocking $8 billion for energy projects in 16 Democratic-led states.
The president said today he's meeting with the budget chief, Russ Vought, to talk about which Democrat agencies he recommends be cut. What agencies are on the table for that conversation?
We're going to look at agencies that don't align with the administration's values, that we feel are a waste of the taxpayer dollar.
There are more than 750,000 federal workers around the country furloughed. TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and members of the military all working without pay. The Senate will not consider a vote to end the shutdown until tomorrow. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Let's go to Mac Penez with the first look at the forecast. Mac, did I hear right? A chance of rain coming?
Well, it's a very slight chance for an isolated afternoon shower. You know, we get that sea breeze activity, and that is going to be with us for the weekend. For me, you know, I'm scouring the horizon looking for some cooler air, and there is a strong frontal system right about here. It's going to lose a lot of its impact, but the tail end of that should pass through here sometime next week. It will knock the temperature down a bit, but it's at least in the right direction. We'll have more details on that and your weekend coming up in a moment. Don?
Mac, thank you. The government shutdown has delayed any push to release all of the Department of Justice's files on Jeffrey Epstein. But one member of the Trump administration is opening up about his reported interactions with Epstein, where the two used to be neighbors. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick saying Epstein's high-profile associates not only knew of his behavior, but that some even took part. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
He's one of President Trump's top cabinet officials, and now Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is speaking out about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Lutnick, who once lived next door to Epstein, told a New York Post podcast Epstein once gave him a tour of his home, saying Epstein's high-profile associates not only knew of his behavior, but that some even participated.
Did they see it and ignore it, or
no? They participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, you know, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Without providing evidence, Lutnick saying he believes Epstein may have traded alleged blackmail videos for a lesser prison sentence during his first criminal case in 2008.
I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence.
He also described Epstein as, quote, gross.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
His comments are a major break from the narrative from the Department of Justice and the FBI. FBI Director Kash Patel saying this when he testified last month.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
President Trump was friends with Epstein in the 1990s, but they later said they had a falling out. And he's also said the effort to release the files has been blown out of proportion.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats and some stupid Republicans.
ABC News has reached out to both the White House and Commerce Department for comment, but have not heard back. The Justice Department and FBI have said there is no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, but House Democrats are now looking to speak with Lutnick. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The Victoria County Tax Assessor's Collector's Office will close early tomorrow, Friday. The office will be open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., closing early due to road closures for Tejas Fest. HEB business centers will remain open for anyone needing to purchase vehicle registrations. The deadline to register to vote on the November 4th election is coming up next Monday, October 6th. Voters across Texas will weigh in on proposed amendments to the state constitution, local city and school board races, as well as bond propositions. You can confirm your voter registration status at votetexas.gov. The site lets you search by voter ID and date of birth, by driver's license number and date of birth, or by entering your name, county, and date of birth. The last day to apply for a ballot by mail is Friday, October 24th. Early voting begins October 20th. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. And stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. The U.S. and G7 countries take action against Iran's nuclear facilities. Also ahead, the White House announces major cuts to climate funding across multiple states. The details next. The United States is imposing sanctions on numerous people and entities linked to Iran's defense and nuclear programs. The Treasury and State Departments announced the moves Wednesday, part of the G7's snapback of sanctions under the 2015 nuclear deal. All G7 countries are now taking action, urging Iran to avoid escalation, rejoin direct talks with the U.S., and meet its nuclear obligations. We turn now to a developing story out of the UK, where officials say an attack occurred at a synagogue on Manchester today as Jews around the world celebrate Yom Kippur. As ABC's Rena Roy reports, police also are calling the bomb unit to the scene.
As worshippers gathered on the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, an act of violence unfolding at this synagogue in the United Kingdom.
It's horrifying. It is horrifying. Unfortunately, in the last year, we've witnessed a whole load of terror and attacks against the Jewish people.
Police say a man drove his car toward people at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in Manchester before beginning a stabbing spree.
Said being an auspicious high holy day, we've all fasted since 6:30 last night. You want to feel secure, you want to be able to go to places.
Greater Manchester police saying the suspect was shot and killed. The bomb unit called in due to what they say are suspicious items on his person. Videos showing officers responding to the scene, bystanders appearing stunned, police telling them to back away.
This attack has been officially declared as a terrorist incident. In addition, I can confirm that 2 other individuals have been arrested in connection with this incident, and urgent inquiries are ongoing.
The Israeli embassy in the UK saying that such an act of violence should be perpetrated on the holiest day of the Jewish calendar in a place of prayer and community is abhorrent and deeply distressing. The British Prime Minister leaving a summit in Denmark to return to London for an emergency meeting with senior officials.
The attack in Manchester this morning is absolutely shocking, and all of our thoughts are with those affected. I'm already able to say that additional police assets are being deployed to synagogues across the country, and we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe.
King Charles also reacting, saying he and his wife are deeply shocked and saddened by this, and that they appreciate the swift response by emergency services. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The Trump administration says it is canceling nearly $8 billion of climate funding. Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought made the announcement on X. He called the money, quote, green scam funding, unquote, and said it fuels the left's climate agenda. All but 2 of the 16 states targeted have Democrat governors.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're looking at a rather toasty 92, but, you know, with no significant humidity. But you might have noticed that we picked up a little bit more cloud cover and a little bit more humidity, and that's going to change our little pattern as we get to the weekend. 92 was our high. That's still above our average for this time of the year. It's October, and it's Tejas Fest. We'll be talking about what to expect for that coming up in just a moment. Good afternoon, everyone. You're probably, or some of you are already planning for the weekend, and you've got your weather forecast coming up. You might have noticed that today we had a lot more cloud cover out there as the Gulf air is slowly creeping back in. You can see it right here with the southeast wind. You know, last few days, or most of this week, we had a northeast wind, and that's relatively dry. This, you can see how the clouds sort of built up during the day. Now, we take a look at Texas. Everybody is high and dry. So if you think that people up in Dallas are, you know, wearing sweaters and going ice skating, not happening so far. It's too early in the season, but I always look at the Northwest, okay? Right here is where all the big Pacific storms come in, and they are the ones that bring the snow and the rain. If it were to come due out of the Arctic, it would be drier, colder, but drier. This is moist maritime air, and it will be producing the first big snow over the Rockies over the next couple of days. That front will actually eventually get to Texas, but it'll be a mere shadow of its former self. We'll be talking about it in a moment. Well, the two storms that were dancing out there in the Atlantic continue pulling out, and they're really getting elongated and falling apart. In fact, the remnants of Humberto are way out here, and Imelda is still sort of walking around out there and not really in any particular fashion. But for the next 5 days, we have a potential to develop another system out in the mid-Atlantic. That's called the Main Development Region, the MDR. And then, interestingly enough, we even have a potential development right off the coast of Florida. What happens is that the frontal systems fall in and then they stall, and then along those systems we pick up little vortexes or little spinning action. So we're going to be watching for that. And then on the other side of the world, in the Pacific, we've got this storm, which will likely be very strong and will probably hit Mazatlan. It's going to be an inside slider, and it's going to bring heavy rain to the southwestern United States. So it's going to be something to watch over the next couple of days because, you know, if it stays in Arizona, or will it move into West Texas? So we're taking a look at, oh, this is sort of good. Tomorrow, because of the wind and the clouds and the potential for some shower activity, we are no longer in that air quality health advisory, but it does continue for much of Austin, San Antonio, and certainly all of the Houston area as well. So a little bit better for the breathing time. For those of you who, you know, live by the water, the full moon is October the 7th. And here we are on the 2nd, so in about 5 days we'll have a full moon. Thing is, between now and then, we're going to be getting very high tides. So if you're down there fishing at your normal spot, you may see the water come up a little higher than normal, and some of the roadways along the beaches may be impacted by that. That's just going to be just along the Gulf-facing beaches. If you're inland at Caney Creek, you'll be fine. Overnight low temperatures just a little milder, getting down to only 69 degrees. 62 is a whole lot nicer. And daytime highs, yes, on the warm side, getting up to about 91 tomorrow. Looking at the big picture, we're waiting for the Gulf air to return, and that Gulf air will pop us 1 or 2 little showers. Excuse me. Here you see that big storm coming in with rain and snow for the Northwest, and for us we'll just see 1 or 2 little garden variety showers sort of popping over the weekend. I wouldn't worry about them. These are going to last 5 or 10 minutes, and that's about it. We're looking mostly sunny skies with a high of 91 down in Port Lavaca. For those of you inland in Cuero, in Yoakum, and Nordheim, we're looking for sunny skies and temperatures getting up to about a 92. 7-day forecast. Well, for the weekend, we've got that garden variety 20%. By the time we get to Wednesday, Thursday, we have the tail end of that frontal system that was in the Northwest dragging through Texas, and it may knock the temperatures down a little bit by Wednesday, Thursday. I know that Dallas will be in the low 80s, so that's good. Ask your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone, and here's Don.
Mac, thank you. Up next on 25 News Now at 5, some Snapchat memories will now come with a price tag. The new monthly fees ahead. The stock market ended mostly higher. The Dow gained 78 points. The S&P 500 edged up 4 points, while the Nasdaq added 89 points. Oil fell $1.02 to $60.76 per barrel. Snapchat is asking its biggest users to pay a monthly fee to keep their memories. That's a feature the social media platform started in 2016, which allows people to save videos and photos as opposed to letting them disappear after a while. Since then, more than 1 trillion memories were saved, and Snapchat's parent company says it needs a little financial help for its infrastructure. The company says users who have more than 5 gigabytes worth of memories will get charged. We're back in a moment. Good grief. Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and the gang are 75 years old.
No,
Charles M. Schulz's Peanuts comic strip began October 2nd, 1950, in just 7 newspapers. For the next 5 decades, Schulz wrote and drew every Peanut strip. Today, the beloved comic strip is still featured in thousands of newspapers around the world, and the Peanuts gang is featured in online syndication, a new streaming series on Apple TV, books, and much more. Several museums around the country will have exhibits and events this year for the Peanuts' 75th anniversary. Oh my gosh.
A cartoon that became part of life. It's a cultural icon. Amazing. Oh, yeah. Charlie Brown.
They had a list of the wealthiest people who are now dead, you know, icons. Yeah. And up there was John Lennon, Elvis, Charles M. Schulz. Way up there on top.
Well,
yes.
He left us Peanuts. It's amazing.
He left us. I'm trying to hear Schroeder's piano now with the Happy Birthday song.
I love that music. It reminds me of the holidays, you know?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And that's coming around soon. So, folks, for this weekend, it's not going to feel much like the holidays, but it will be sunny and dry. And then we'll pick up a little moisture over the weekend that may give us 1 or 2 little pop-up showers. Nothing to get excited about. That's basically the hope. Next week, there, Wednesday, Thursday, we have a frontal system, the tail end of it, which will hopefully move through and get us some rain, and maybe we'll drop to the 80s. How about that?
And you are saying it's not going to rain on Tejas Fest?
No, I fixed that all up. You know, they're good. They're good shape because you want to go to the Chihuahua races, and that's on Saturday morning.
Can't miss that.
Can't miss
Thank you, Mac. Thanks for being with us. Our next newscast is in 30 minutes after World News Tonight with David Muir.